In a statement, "The Way Out, a clarion call for coalition for Nigeria movement," Obasanjo said President Buhari has performed far below expectation, just as he added that the All Progressives Congress, APC, is not the solution to the country's challenges. Premium Times reports Obasanjo is asking Buhari to honorably dismount from the horse and join the league of former leaders whose experience, influence, wisdom and outreach can be deployed on the sideline for the good of the country. Obasanjo said he was not excited with the way Buhari, who he supported during the 2015 general elections against Goodluck Jonathan, had handled the country. He said even Jonathan had come to realize that he made some mistakes and had publicly regretted them. Even the horse rider then, with whom I maintain very cordial, happy and social relationship today, has come to realize his mistakes and regretted it publicly, and I admire his courage and forthrightness in this regard. He has a role to play on the sideline for the good of Nigeria, Africa and humanity, and I will see him as a partner in playing such a role nationally and internationally, but not as a horse rider in Nigeria again. The lies of poor performance in government, poverty, insecurity, poor economic management, nepotism, gross dereliction of duty, condonation of misdeed, if not outright encouragement of it, lack of progress and hope for the future, lack of national cohesion and poor management of internal political dynamics and widening inequality are very much with us today. With such lies of general and specific poor performance and crying poverty with us, our fingers will not be dry of blood, Obasanjo said in the letter. Obasanjo thanked Buhari for the contribution of his administration in decimating the Boko Haram insurgency and tackling corruption, but added that the current president has ultimately failed in other areas where he had thought he would be efficient. Obasanjo admitted that he actually supported Buhari even though he knew the latter was weak in handling the economy, but decided on him because the option was to have Jonathan out of the seat of power. He said it was lamentable that Buhari had turned a blind eye to issues of corruption within his government, calling it a cover-up. He also blamed Buhari for allowing the clashes between herdsmen and farmers go out of hand. He also slammed governors who endorsed Buhari for a second term barely 24 hours after 73 people who were killed by herdsmen in Benue State were given mass burial. But there are three other areas where President Buhari has come out more glaringly than most of us thought we knew about him. One is nepotic deployment bordering on clannishness and inability to bring discipline to bear on errant members of his nepotic court. This has grave consequences on performance of his government to the detriment of the nation. It would appear that national interest was being sacrificed on the altar of nepotic interest. What does one make of a case like that of Mena, collusion, condonation, ineptitude, incompetence, dereliction of responsibility or kinship and friendship on the part of those who should have taken visible and deterrent disciplinary action? How many similar cases are buried, ignored or covered up and not yet in the glare of the media and the public? The second is his poor understanding of the dynamics of internal politics. This has led to wittingly or unwittingly making the nation more divided, and inequality has widened and become more pronounced. It also has effect on general national security. The third is passing the buck. For instance, blaming the governor of the central bank for devaluation of the naira by 70 or so and blaming past governments for it, is to say the least, not accepting one's own responsibility. Let nobody deceive us, economy feeds on politics, and because our politics is depressing, our economy is even more depressing today. If things were good, President Buhari would not need to come in. He was voted to fix things that were bad and not engage in the blame game. He continued, President Buhari needs a dignified and honorable dismount from the horse. He needs to have time to reflect, refurbish physically and recoup, and after appropriate rest, once again, join the stock of Nigerian leaders whose experience, influence, wisdom and outreach can be deployed on the sideline for the good of the country. His place in history is already assured. Without impaired health and strain of age, running the affairs of Nigeria is a 24/7 affair, not 24/7. I only appeal to Brother Buhari to consider a deserved rest at this point in time and at this age. I continue to wish him robust health to enjoy his retirement from active public service. President Buhari does not necessarily need to heed my advice. But whether or not he heeds it, Nigeria needs to move on and move forward, he said. I have had occasion in the past to say that the two main political parties, APC and PDP, were wobbling. I must reiterate that nothing has happened to convince me otherwise. If anything, I am reinforced in my conviction. The recent show of PDP must give grave and great concern to lovers of Nigeria. To claim, as has been credited to the chief kingmaker of PDP, that for procuring the Supreme Court judgment for his faction of the party, he must dictate the tune all the way, and this is indeed fraught with danger. If neither APC nor PDP is a worthy horse to ride to lead Nigeria at this crucial and critical time, what then do we do? Remember Farouk Biragi, an associate professor at the Kennesaw State University, Georgia, United States, calls it a cruel Hobson's choice. It's like a choice between 6 and half a dozen, between evil and evil. Any selection or deflection would be a distinction without a difference. We cannot just sit down lamenting and wringing our hands desperately and hopelessly. Obasanjo called for a coalition of Nigerians which he said he would be part of to take back power from the present ruling class and lead the country into the path of rebirth. We can collectively save ourselves from the position we find ourselves. It will not come through self-pity, fruitless complaint or protest, but through constructive and positive engagement and collective action for the good of our nation and ourselves and our children and their children. We need moral rearmament and engaging togetherness of people of like mind and goodwill to come solidly together to lift Nigeria up. This is no time for trading blames or embarking on futile argument, and neither should we accept untenable excuses for non-performance. Let us accept that the present administration has done what it can do to the limit of its ability, aptitude and understanding. Let the administration and its political party platform agree with the rest of us that what they have done and what they are capable of doing is not good enough for us. They have given as best as they have and as best as they can give. Nigeria deserves and urgently needs better than what they have given or what we know they are capable of giving. To ask them to give more will be unrealistic and will only sentence Nigeria to a prison term of 4 years, if not destroy it beyond the possibility of an early recovery and substantial growth. The development and modernization of our country and society must be anchored and sustained on dynamic Nigerian culture, enduring values and an enchanting Nigerian dream. We must have abiding faith in our country and its role and place within the Comity of Nations. Today, Nigeria needs all hands on deck. All hands of men and women of goodwill must be on deck. We need all hands to move our country forward. We need a coalition for Nigeria, CN. Such a movement at this juncture needs not be a political party but one to which all well-meaning Nigerians can belong. That movement must be a coalition for democracy, good governance, social and economic well-being and progress. Coalition to salvage and redeem our country. You can count me with such a movement. Last time, we asked, prayed and worked for change and God granted our request. This time, we must ask, pray and work for change with unity, security and progress. And God will again grant us. Of course, nothing should stop such a movement from satisfying conditions for fielding candidates for elections. But if at any stage the movement wishes to metamorphose into candidate-sponsoring movement for elections, I will bow out of the movement because I will continue to maintain my non-partisan position. Coalition for Nigeria must have its headquarters in Abuja. This coalition for Nigeria will be a movement that will drive Nigeria up and forward. It must have a pride of place for all Nigerians, particularly for our youth and our women. It is a coalition of hope for all Nigerians for speedy, quality and equal development, security, unity, prosperity and progress. It is a coalition to banish poverty, insecurity and despair. Our country must not be oblivious to concomitant danger around, outside and ahead. Coalition for Nigeria must be a movement to break new ground in building a united country, a socially cohesive and moderately prosperous society with equity, equality of opportunity, justice and a dynamic and progressive economy that is self-reliant and takes active part in global division of labor and international decision-making. The movement must work out the path of development and the trajectory of development and speed, quality and equality in the short, medium and long term for Nigeria on the basis of sustainability, stability, predictability, credibility, security, cooperation and prosperity with diminishing inequality. What is called for is love, commitment and interest in our country, not in self, friends and kinship alone but particularly love, compassion and interest in the poor, underprivileged and downtrodden. It is our human duty and responsibility so to do. Failure to do this will amount to a sin against God and a crime against humanity. We earlier reported how some APC governors have called on President Muhammadu Buhari to seek re-election for a second term in office. According to them, there is no candidate better than Buhari to fly the party's flag in the 2019 presidential election. Before the commencement of the NEC meeting of the party in Abuja, they said that President Buhari's integrity, coupled with his performance since 2015, remains unbeatable.